Hi, and welcome to the Senior Network. I'm your host, Greg Fulton, along with my co-host, Debbie Lyons. Good
Nice
to see you.
See you.
It's been a while, but it's great to see you.
It really is fun.
We are joined by our buddy, Joe Agee from the Seabrook Hilton Head. Good to see you, Joe.
Good morning. Good morning.
And our one and only Heather Flowers from Right at Home, Director of Nursing. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And we're here actually at the Cypress today here on Hilton Head. It's gorgeous.
So pretty,
Yeah.
it really is. I hadn't seen, every time I come, they have a little new area that they've redone,
rented,
which is
yeah.
kind of fun.
I know what Joe was telling me the last time I saw you, you guys have done a lot of work over
Exactly.
there at Seabrook.
Well, you know what's interesting to me, talking about coming into these places, we were just talking in a previous show that we did about food and wonderful restaurant or dining. The one thing I can say about Seabrook firsthand too is there's nothing better than the food that is served there, my friend.
No question about that. And any resident that lives there will basically tell you that.
Yes.
You can, meet somebody and 5 seconds later, they're saying, "Oh yeah, the food here is wonderful."
Well, and
So-
it's funny because when I think about that, it was. Yes. Do you want to come to Seabrook?
I was going to say, how do you get to eat there?
Well, because all you have to do is bring somebody who wants to go there and
A tour, right?
Yeah, you go for a tour, and then you're like, "Don't you think they should have dinner?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
let's
like,
go to dinner.
Apple some dinner.
Because it's amazing. And the reason I bring it up is one of the things I know about home health care, and just because my dad lives with me at 92, he would not eat if we did not have someone there, if I wasn't there to feed him. And when you were saying director of nursing, I guess the first thing I think about always is nutrition and food and forgetfulness. Is that something that you guys have to deal with a lot? I mean,
Oh yeah, tell them, Heather.
All the time, and especially when you live alone, and whether you call it Alzheimer's or memory loss or dementia, that beginning stage, they just forget to eat, and nutrition is so important. And you see the weight loss, and then it spirals into not showering and not going out, and then you're self-conscious, and nutrition is a huge part of aging and taking care of
do you
yourself.
one of the things I would think at the Seabrook that's nice is having kind of set times for meals and knowing you could go down and eat or you can have your food brought up. One of the concerns or the things that I wonder about when you are living at home or aging in place is my dad forgets to eat, or he'll just say, "I'm not hungry," or, and here's the biggie, it looks like too far to go from the chair.
Right.
Is that
It's a challenge, yep.
Talk to me about
Well,
that.
you're talking about nutrition. I'm sitting here thinking on the last segment we touched on diabetes and stuff, and I mean, Heather knows this a lot. I mean, you've got situations where this can develop into a lot more serious situations when you're talking about nutrition. You get to that point of if you're dealing with diabetes, and then it's really important that you're monitoring that in your nutrition. And we have a lot of patients, and then we see a spiral effect from that. I think the CDC says, well, it's like 25% of people over 65 are diabetic.
Oh.
That's a big number.
It's a huge number.
Yeah.
So from a home health point of view and from the Seabrook, how do you all both deal with that? I mean,
Well, in a home health setting, we obviously, if they are diabetic, we'll check their blood sugars. The caregivers are trained on checking blood sugars, and then depending on what the level shows, they can't decide what to do, but they can call a nurse, and they always will call me and say, "Heather, blood
what do we
sugar,
do?"
What do we do now?" And then I can coach them, or if it's something that is very serious, we would send them out EMS.
well, and then, okay, so from a lifestyle point of view, whether it's at the Seabrook or whether you're doing it at home, can you help sort of gear them to a diet that is more healthy and well for their conditions?
Of course.
Get more to those
Of
veggies
course.
and
What does that kind of look like? How would you do that?
Well, there's a generous options when it comes to the side dishes,
Okay.
vegetables and fruit and that type of thing.
You have a big salad bar too.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's very specific, you sit down with the director of dietary and you have a conversation before you move in saying,
Makes sense.
"You've got to have this, this, and this available for us, for it to work for us to live here." And said, "Yeah, we can take care of that. We just need to have enough of a fair warning, or at least sit down and know when it comes time to having those specific meals that we may have to do something more special for you." So it gets fairly personal, but that's just part of the aging process, knowing that you may have to deal with that, and we do, I think, a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, you do. Talk to me about a generalized assessment when someone comes in right away. Are those the kinds of things you would ask, the questions that you would ask?
Absolutely, absolutely. If if they want to stay at home, how are we going to make it the most successful for
Okay,
them?
how are we going to manage that?
How are we going to manage that? What are your dietary needs? What are your likes and dislikes? What is your activity level? What does your toileting schedule look like? And we have to look at all of those things. What are your outside activities that you like to do? Because the social aspect is just as important as the nutritional aspect in different ways, but we have to look at the whole total body. The same way that they will do at the Seabrook. We just do it individually in the home. So it's a little
Plan of care.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, plan of
That's
care.
what it's called, plan of
that's what
care.
we call it, yeah.
Okay, so it's a pretty detailed.
And
tell
we
us
follow that plan of care with communication logs and daily records that have to match up with our aides, and most of this is electronic these days, so
Okay,
you're not
right,
doing all
right.
kinds of paperwork. So we're tracking that, and we know, and Heather knows as the nurse, when there's a change of condition, she knows right away.
So what does that mean? If somebody's all at once not eating, or?
Yes, if we have triggers within this electronic system so that if they're not eating or they didn't go to the bathroom and they haven't pooped in 3 days, then it'll set off a trigger and the caregiver will
that's
mark
very
that.
cool.
And then we'll know, and then I can go out as the nurse. And sometimes it's just a phone call to the caregiver because maybe they just, missed when they were typing it, or maybe after that, then they have, the situation has changed. But if it hasn't, then myself or one of the nurses in my staff will go out and physically assess the situation and see what needs to be done, because that's not in the caregiver's realm of responsibility.
Is food and eating and activities of daily living a huge part of what you all do?
Huge, huge.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have, we have cooking classes for our aides sometimes too.
Oh,
Because we've had caregivers or clients that'll say would like a poached egg. This is our
Okay.
big example.
Yeah.
yes.
And the caregivers don't know how to poach an egg.
Which is really funny because that's my dad. Every 3 days, he's like, "What's a poached egg?"
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I'm like, that's an art.
Right.
Now you get one of those little things.
That's
you put in
right.
the right.
Yes,
Don't you? Put it
yes,
in the microwave
yes.
42 seconds.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
What is poached eggs?
Uh-huh.
Do you eat poached eggs?
Not recently.
No, I
Me
don't.
either. Do you?
I don't poach, but I
That must be an
love.
old-
Yeah,
Really, it must be an old school thing.
yeah.
Well, and it's also, a lot of folks have relocated here to this area from all over the world and all over the countries. So they had different cultures, different dietary.
True. I
Yeah.
never thought about
Yeah.
that.
When you come into the South, it's different.
But at Seabrook, it's such a social event. The dinner meal is well attended by most everybody. There's a handful that will do a takeout, but you've got from 5:30 to 7:15 to sit down, and a single person will never eat alone because someone's going to come up and say, "Hey, why don't you join us?"
Oh, wow.
So it's really, I think, something that people look forward to. Because the food is so good and the options are very many. There's 3 good choices as far as your entree every night.
Now, is all that included in a package?
Yes, the way the Seabrook works and what you pay on a monthly basis, you get one meal a day.
Oh, okay.
And most people do select dinner. We're open for lunch, and we do
Right.
have a continental breakfast that's available, complimentary. But the dinner meal is really the big one.
One of the things I always think when I think of the Seabrook is one of the big things for you all is making sure that no one is isolated. And when you said that about being alone, aging in place, the socialization piece is really huge. And I guess talk to us a little bit about that because you got lots of activities to engage your clients.
Well, the way the Seabrook is set up, our clubhouse is in the middle of the property, and then the condominium buildings surround it. And there's a short little walk to get to the Seabrook houses where the dining room is and activities all take place. That's where the Fraser Health Center is. So you've got to have the capacity of being able to get to the Seabrook house from your location. So. I think it works fairly well. I mean,
Oh, yes.
it's kind of like a forced exercise event, as far as getting to and from. So,
Are there beverages with the dinner?
Yes, there are.
oh yeah,
Can I take this tour, by the way?
See,
Yeah.
there's method to my madness.
yes,
Cocktail hours.
only beer and wine though. That's
Okay.
our own license is only for beer and wine. But if you come to happy hour, you get that for free anyway.
Right, exactly.
Which is on again Fridays and Mondays.
Oh, not
If
that I
you
would know
can't
that.
get to
You're
from
right.
wherever you are in the Seabrook, do you have transportation that would bring you?
Yes, if you have a scooter, or if you're if you have
It's
a
raining.
spouse, you can have somebody. We have, in some cases, someone would be pushed in a wheelchair.
Oh, okay.
It's
So,
so
but
pretty.
it's-
It's festive and
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the major features of what we have to offer. There's no question about it.
we're going to take a quick break because I'm paying attention.
Yes, and I wasn't. I was listening to Joe, by the way.
Well, yeah, I didn't last time, so that's why I'm saying that.
You know, I can't
Stay
see
with us.
anything from this side. So.
Exactly. Stay with us. There's a lot more to come.